Good evening. I am I'm Stan Cizik, and along with Kelly Clark and now Linda Goldman, we are the Democratic candidates for Township of Medford for Council this November. I am 37 years old. I moved to Medford 5 years ago. My wife, Monica, who's our campaign manager, we've been married for 11 years. And I was born and raised in Tabernacle. I grew up there. I went to Shawnee before we had Seneca. So I've been connected to Medford my whole life. And growing up, Medford, especially compared to Southampton and Chemung and Tabernacle and Townsend, was always kind of seen as kind of the leading town, kind of in this high school district. And having left for a while, I went to Rutgers, met my wife there, and we lived in various towns in North Jersey before moving back when we shortly after we had our son, and came back to find Medford that still had remnants of the same reputation, still had the great people, still had the great natural surroundings, still had the amazing schools, but something was different. And it took a little while to kind of peel back the onion and understand what's changed. But, I think we all know it, or for those that don't, this kind of goes back about 7 years, where the council that's in place now, and some of the members of the council had uncovered poor spending habits, lack of transparency with the residents, and so when they were swept in under a movement of change, and so they found themselves with a significant amount of debt in Medford, and there were multiple ways they could have skinned that cat. And what this kind of speaks to not so much party, but maybe ideology, and I think that might be why I represent myself as a Democrat, is that I think what we see from the national level on down, if we pull a thread and try to connect it to what we have here in Medford, is an ideology of trying to find simple solutions to very complex problems, right? So what was done in Medford was, I think, to go out to the residents and scare everyone that they were going to lose their trash, and scare everyone that we were about to go off of a cliff, and put in place a referendum to raise taxes 25%. And that was done. And at the same time, simultaneously, services were cut significantly. Whoever lives here in Medford has seen that massive change in service quality here in Medford since that time. And I think the undercurrent of that is that the folks that were swept in at that time, a lot of them identify with more of a very right, very Tea Party-esque sort of mentality. And what was billed at the time as emergency measures, as that debt has started to be repaid, and as I attend council meetings, and as I read the newspaper, and as I engage with these individuals, I realize now that this is the new normal. This is the way things are going to be in Medford. We've acquiesced, apparently, to this level of services, and this is the way it's going to be. So at this point, our platform is very simple. It's restoring your services, and start with that. It's a government that's functional. Snow removal that is safe, where people can go out when it snows. Brush collection that keeps up. Leaf collection that keeps up. Trash collection that doesn't require people to load washing machines into the back of trucks that can't do that. Supporting our youth recreation programs again. Fulfilling our commitment as a town in the same way that the towns all around us find a way to do it. Not locking park bathrooms and asking mothers to change diapers on park benches. It's just, we can do better than this. And so when we talk about simple solutions to complex problems, as we've looked over the budget, as we've looked over the spending priorities, we can be innovative. We can find ways to find more money. We can work with a new democratically elected governor, and get support from him. We can get support from the county.
And freeholders.
And
freeholders.
And we can also find creative ways to continue to find savings in the budget without sacrificing services. So restoring your services is priority one. And then the second part of our platform is a Medford for All. So if you want to go to our website, it's medfordforall.com, medfordforall@gmail.com if you want to get in touch with us. And it's about trying to change the discourse in town. So I think the current council often, they've started to send trolls out to our page. And some of the things that they've said have been that we're the most transparent local government in the state of New Jersey. Okay, we can agree on or to disagree, but nonetheless, transparent and inclusive are two different things, right? So I've gone to council meetings throughout the year. I walk in, I'm the only one there. I sit in the back, I stare at them, they stare at me, 30 minutes goes by, we all go home. It's very awkward. But they pat each other on the back and congratulate each other for a very efficient and very quick meeting. And if I was, if I'm so fortunate to be on council, and that's the situation we find ourselves in January and February and March, where there's no one from the town who bothers to show up, there's no one from the town that bothers to share an idea. Because of the fear of how we're going to react to that, I'd be ashamed of that. I'd be ashamed of being on a council that was so closed off from the connection to our town. So, just in short, I've spent the last 15 years working in the private sector in business and technology consulting. It's about solving problems. It's about making business cases work. It's about balancing budgets. It's about working on 6 and 7 and 8 figure deals. It's about being innovative, and it's about finding ways to think outside the box. And so I think I can apply those skills to the challenges that we have in Medford. How do we be fiscally responsible, but how do we put back what every other town around us has found a way to do? And how do we do it in an inclusive way where we welcome people back to council meetings, where we welcome people back to to be involved in the future of this town. So some of the things they're going to say about us, I think right now they're very frustrated. They're trying to find dirt that doesn't exist. We don't have records to attack. So maybe that's why they're being silent right now. I don't know. But, we are committed to run a positive campaign. That's what we started with, and we're going to stick with that until we have to hit back. You're going to start to see mailers come out soon. Like I said, go to our website. We do need some money to run this campaign, like everyone else has asked for. And I thank you. I hand it off to Kelly.
Hey, my name is Kelly Clark. I feel like I'm going to be echoing a lot of the things that have been said already tonight. But first of all, I'm not a New Jersey native. Okay, so I like to put that out there. But I have now lived more of my life in New Jersey than any place else. But I have lived in 5 different states. So I feel like that gives me a perspective on kind of what's expected in a town, in a community, for the people that live there. And I'd like to see Medford kind of get back to the expectations of what the people here deserve, and they're not really getting right now. To give you a little bit of background about myself, I have a degree in material science and engineering from Penn State. When I graduated, I realized I really wanted to work with kids, and that was very important to me, and I wanted to make sure that I was serving my community. That's something that was ingrained in me from an early age. So I immediately went back and got my teaching certificate, and I just started my 20th year teaching chemistry, my 17th year at Lenape, and my 20th year overall. I taught in Virginia for a while before I came here. That pull was important to me, serving my community, and as we heard earlier tonight, that waking up on that Wednesday morning in November, like I was in shock. I couldn't believe what happened, and I couldn't believe the direction that I believed our country was going to go in changed so drastically, so quickly overnight. And I kind of felt that call again. Felt the call to go into public education. Now I felt the call to do something for my community. I wasn't sure what it was going to be in November, but I certainly started looking, and I started getting involved, and I started talking to people and finding out things that needed to be done and how to get them done. So I started with becoming a county committee member, and from there I guess the best word for it is recruited to run for town council, but it felt right when the opportunity came available. And I feel like I want to make this community the best that it can be. But back in November, I thought maybe I was a dot of blue in a sea of red. But that's not true at all. If you look at the numbers, if you've seen Stan's beautiful video on our Facebook page, if you look at the numbers, there's a lot more independents and Democrats in Medford than there are Republicans. So we can win here, and we will win here if everybody gets out to vote. So I'm going to pass it off. to our lovely hostess tonight, Linda Goldman.
Thanks again for coming. I'll be extremely short because I just noticed that George is in the house. And I think Stan pretty much summed up what we're going for as far as what we want this town to become or be renewed into what we had seen before it became what it is now. It's a typical Tea Party town. My background is most recently a stay-at-home mom for far too long. Before that, I have a bachelor's of science in business administration from Northeastern University. I have an MBA from Babson College. My concentration was finance. I did budgeting, tax analysis, and planning for a large bank leasing corporation. So as far as the books and stuff go, they're not that hard. You're just not able to get in to see them. You know, they have one line for what do you call it? Employees, and then employee benefits. But what is that? What's under there? How many of there are there? So I'm just going to, you know, I think I have the qualifications to do that. I think Stan and Kelly kind of already represented who we are in passion and emotion and in fiscal responsibility and in skill set. Here it goes. We need money. We have like $1,000. Okay, so that's who we are, and we need cash to get out flyers and posters, and that's our whole spiel.